The future is happening much faster than we think. And in today's video, I want to dive into a booming market that is super futuristic, but it's happening right now. And I've talked about this on other social media platforms, but I want to talk about it on YouTube more in depth today. We're going to be talking about the AI glasses trend. Now, this seems to be a form factor in which AI is expanding into. And it's actually very interesting. We're going to have so much good stuff to talk about in today's video, but I'm not just going to talk about the trend itself. I'm also going to talk about how we can take advantage of it and multiple ways that you can take advantage of it, whether you want to start a Shopify business or not, right? Because I know some of you guys may watch my videos and you're not really interested in starting a business right now. Maybe you're happy with your job. You have a lot of cash coming in. I want to talk about a few ways that you can actually still take advantage of this opportunity without really doing anything. So basically through investing. But let's just dive headfirst here into the trend first before we dive into the competitors and things like that and what they're doing. So the AI glasses trend, as you see, is an exponential trend. So this is a trend that somehow was getting some search volume even back in 2022, which you can see. To me, at least, it's very interesting. I'm sure this is where things were starting to develop, and now things are unfolding, and they're unfolding much faster than we could have anticipated. Now, this trend in particular is expected to reach 857 million in 2025, but it's expected to reach 2.3 billion by 2032, which is a lot. Some people even say, up to 8 billion. I could totally see that, right? A lot of people wear glasses, and AI blends very well into this form factor. So one way that you can take advantage of this opportunity is through creating your own Shopify store, right? Shopify makes it very easy to create an online store, but it is difficult to promote that store and grow it. And that's one of the reasons we created Shopee Lab. It's a software and accelerator community as well, where you can learn through courses, training, tools, and even potentially get investments from myself into your company if, it makes sense. That's why it's called an accelerator. But this is one of the main competitors actually that I found so far on Shopify. So these guys have a Shopify store. I did confirm it, and they were doing very well. So they're driving 600,000 to 400,000 monthly visitors. And at this average order value, which their average order value is around $600 or $149 a month, that's significant revenue, right? That's multiple millions of dollars a month in revenue. I would estimate maybe somewhere like $3 million a month. I think that's a reasonable estimate. And what's interesting about this is that it's such a new market. So even this brand that honestly I've never heard of is still capturing a pretty decent sizable amount of the market share. Now, let's take a look at what this actually does. So what's really cool about these kind of glasses, what's really cool about this shape is that it allows you to, do a lot of interesting things. But one of the interesting things is real-time translations. So as you see, this is kind of what it looks like to use the glasses, which is super interesting. I mean, this is really the beginning of something massive, right? Like I really do think we're just at the beginning of this trend. And yeah, as you see, this person is saving some notes. You can use it as a teleprompter for when you're doing, I guess just whatever, if you're doing a presentation. This is definitely interesting and weird. And it also blends well with, in the future, cars will be self-driving, right? So this was one of my concerns when I saw this is like, man, people are going to be using these while they're driving and they're going to be distracted. But in the future, it's actually going to be fine because people are probably not going to be driving as much anymore in the future. Interesting that I noticed here that they had a WhatsApp message in there. So this is one of the ways that you can take advantage of this if you don't want to, build a Shopify store. It's simply by buying Meta stock, right? So Meta platforms, we talk about Meta ads usually from the advertising point of view, but Meta is a much bigger company than just advertising, although that is how they make most of their money. These guys are actually probably the dominant competitor in the AI glasses trend with the Ray-Bans. And I think we're just at the cusp of this. We're just at the very beginning, and it's probably going to accelerate just their overall business over time, right? Because they are now having hardware embedded into their business. They try to do this with their, big virtual reality stuff, right? And that worked actually pretty well. But this just takes it to another level because doing this through glasses is just so much better, right? There's so much less friction. People normally wear glasses, whereas people don't just go around wearing this like virtual reality headset. So I believe this is going to be pretty interesting, and maybe in like 5-10 years, we're going to be running meta ads to people's glasses. That could be a dominant placement in the future. Who knows, right? So definitely an exciting time to be living through. So yeah, meta stock. I think buying meta stock is just a great way to take advantage of this trend in general. So that's one thing you can do. And they do pay dividends, I guess. I didn't know that, even though I own the stock, which is kind of interesting. Another way that you can get involved in this without building a Shopify store, although I will show you here real quick on Alibaba, there are some interesting AI glasses that you can buy. Now, these are kind of, I wouldn't say they're the same level as the Meta AI glasses, but I'm not sure actually, like they could be just as good or at least similar. You would probably have to have some sort of hardware experience in order to really build in this category. But at the same time, it's not necessarily true. I've seen, for example, on TikTok Shop, lots of AI brands like for headphones in particular. So it doesn't have to be super advanced. Sometimes people are just looking for a very specific feature like Bluetooth, right? Or, you can kind of talk to this thing. I think that's what these allow you to do is, Bluetooth enabled audio for music and translation. So smart translation. This is actually going to be huge. And as you see, $16 for one MOQ, that's pretty cheap, right? You can actually see that some people are selling these, and these are clearly a lot more capable of a lot more things, and they look really nice, but they're selling this for $600. So, if you can sell these at like $100, that's still a massive margin, and you might actually be able to build a massive business out of this, especially granted that the demand is so massive. And this is exactly, at least every single explosive store that I've been a part of, where we've scaled from 0 to multiple 6 figures per month, it's been because of a massive trend like this. So, surfing trends is a very good idea, but using it as a compounding, sort of like a catalyst for continued growth and just building momentum. But yeah, there's a ton of different samples here that you could choose from. Of course, I would recommend to test these out first. Make sure you buy them yourself and kind of test it out. And that's a great idea too, because then you're going to be able to make content with it. And if you don't know by now, content is the name of the game when it comes to promoting your business. If you can make good content around your store, you're going to be able to crush people who are just starting without content. Okay, now another way that you can get involved in this is by buying Alibaba stock, right? So Alibaba is the supplier of basically most e-commerce businesses. Most suppliers are on Alibaba. Alibaba owns a huge business and they do very well. I mean, they're worth $280 billion. And as you see, the stock is significantly down, but it's kind of on an upward trend in the last 6 months or so. Pretty good one to get involved in. And then, of course, lastly, Shopify stock. Shopify is where most people go to host their online businesses. I'm a big believer in Shopify, although I'm not a huge fan of their new UI changes. They are pretty dynamic, so I'm not too worried about it. And ultimately, I think this will be a billion or $1 trillion company one day. And I'm betting pretty heavily on that. So, I'm building a whole ecosystem around this, and I've actually invested in Shopify stores, and I'm going to continue to do so. So yeah, I think Shopify stock is a good way to get involved in this trend through second order consequences, right? Because if more people launch AI glasses trends, well, they're going to host those on Shopify most likely. So that's a good way to get involved. Now, I do want to dive a little bit deeper into this company because what you see here is they're running sales. So that's secret weapon. They're so good at branding. I mean, these guys have such a great eye for design. And I think if you can take anything away from this video, if you're just, looking for things to launch on Shopify, consider spending a little bit more time making your store look like what works, right? So, even just something as simple as copying this font or getting inspired by this font and doing something similar, having these sort of like gray tones on your store, These are things people don't think about for some reason when they're launching their Shopify stores. They just kind of go with the normal shrine theme, right? Same font as every other drop shipper out there. But, you can use the shrine theme, but even just, again, having a unique font can give your brand such a unique edge in the marketplace. So definitely consider this product category. It's a great one. It's completely popping off right now. It's worth $800+ million. And if you want help building this, of course, make sure you reach out to us or apply to join the Shopee Lab Accelerator. And if you already have a business in this category and you've grown it to a decent degree, you can also hit me up. I love to connect with you guys, and some of the businesses that you guys have brought to my attention that you're looking for, a strategic investor in and things of that nature. They're so cool. So I'm very excited to, continue to build with you guys. And of course, if you're an investor or something like that, also connect with me. I'm always happy to meet more people. I do want to see real quick. They have a retail showroom. So find your perfect fit at partner showrooms. This is kind of interesting. So they have showrooms, in New York. So they only have a showroom in New York, but they're big in Europe, it seems. What are these? I don't know what these are. So this is kind of interesting. You can book an appointment to go view them. Let's look at their Instagram and then their Facebook lastly, just so we can see if they're running any ads. My guess is yes, but it's possible that they don't. Okay, so interesting. This is run by a Chinese company. Wow, that is actually really interesting to see. So this page is currently running ads. Let's see. 37 different ads. Wow. So they are privy to the power of Meta ads. And it's pretty interesting because, they're competing with Meta on this and running ads on Meta. And that just goes to show how much of an advantage Meta has in this product category, because everybody uses Meta to advertise their business. This looks super clean. I love this brand design. This is incredible. That's another thing. I'm always looking to connect with more designers, just in general. If you're good at brand design, if you have a great eye for design, I just love design. I'm not a great designer, but I can spot good design. I feel like I have good taste, and I really love this design. This just looks super clean. I love their Instagram. I love this brand in general. It just looks so cool. Maybe if anybody from this brand is watching this, I'd love to connect. I really like what you guys are doing. And I could see Meta in the future acquiring something like this. And, Meta has deep pockets, right? They're known to acquire things for several billion. I mean, Meta bought Oculus whenever they were first starting to gain some momentum for like $2 billion, I believe. And they do that. So even realities, very, very cool business. Ultimately, this is a very cool niche, and I'm excited for the future. I really want to know what you guys think, though. Are you using Meta's Ray-Bans? I haven't used them yet, but I definitely want to try them out. And I think this niche is super cool. It kind of gets me excited for the future. I'm seeing all these other models here. So there are other companies like this one. I don't even know what this does. I guess these have they're just smart sunglasses. That's another, search trend that you can kind of take advantage of, is just smart sunglasses. But I think AI is a little bit more powerful. So here's the Meta Ray-Ban ones. Let's see. So they're on Ray-Ban. Oh no, they're on Meta. Interesting. So Meta has their store and they're out of stock. So these are refurbished though. But as you see, this is a specific style. It's the Ray-Ban style. But the cool thing about glasses is that they're also a fashion statement. So that's where I see you could have a competitive advantage, is not necessarily in having the best tech, but just the coolest design. And I think that's how Meta will also think, right? I think they will probably acquire some of the brands that maybe don't have the best tech necessarily, but have better designs that people really love. Who knows though? We'll see. The future, nobody can predict the future, but we're just having fun here speculating on it. Very cool stuff. Let me know what you think. And, I do wonder how this is going to affect the future in terms of the world, right? Because if you can translate people's language in real time, that's going to create very interesting dynamics between nations and countries and for travel and things like that. So I'm very excited to see how this all unfolds. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.